All right, Ravens flock, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So, today was a feisty one at training camp. It was day one of a 2-day joint practice we're having with the Washington Commanders. And today, those two teams really got into it. We had multiple fights happen in training camp today, multiple skirmishes, and it was an intense one. Both teams were really going at it. It was crazy. You know, it being the summer, it's the dog days of training camp, and now you're here with another team that you don't really care about. You got to go up against them. You got to be more physical now. Yeah, things are going to rile up. That's what training camp's all about, and it certainly happened here today. So, let's start from the top. Let's talk about what happened today with the Ravens offense. Honestly, today was a really good day for the Ravens offense. You know, getting a first look at a different defense was nice. Chase Young actually didn't participate, so I guess that really does impact that whole aspect. I'm still hearing rumors that the Ravens are still pursuing Chase Young. I don't know if they're true or not. A lot of us are hoping that's the case, but I don't know. However, he did not participate today. I didn't see him out there on the field, so he most likely did not participate. But yeah, the Ravens got to go up against the Commanders' defense, and honestly, they did relatively well. Lamar Jackson today, it wasn't his most sharpest day in terms of throwing the ball down the field, but overall, he really did have a sharp day. It was one of his more accurate days as a whole. It's just a deep ball. There was some, you know, I won't say issues, but there was some bare misses. It wasn't anything major, but there was some bare misses. Overall, he still did relatively well in throwing the ball down the field. One thing that we were able to showcase today is that our receivers are able to get separation against another defense. You know, you've been going up against your own defense, and obviously our defense can't go at us like that, so, you know, it's kind of toned down. But going up against another team's defense, you know they're going to try to get a little bit more physical because they don't care about us. So that's kind of what happened today, and our receivers were still able to get separation, and Lamar was able to connect a couple times downfield. Now, in terms of what I was saying, it was somewhat iffy in terms of him just barely missing. It was really just a couple throws. So the biggest play of the day was Lamar to OBJ on a deep ball. Now, Lamar did hit Odell, but it was an underthrow. Had Lamar hit OBJ in stride, most likely that's 6 points right there because he beat his man cleanly. He's going down the sideline. If Lamar hits him in stride, that's 6 points. However, he kind of underthrew it by like, what, 2 yards maybe? Because it wasn't that bad. It was just a minor underthrow. Odell, still being Odell, made a catch. It was a great catch by him. And yeah, that was the biggest play of the day from what I saw. But overall, he was still able to connect with OBJ. It wasn't the last time he connected with OBJ. OBJ had a nice one-handed catch by Lamar. So obviously, you know, him and Odell, they continue to build that chemistry. That's exactly what we want to see. So, you know, Odell made some nice catches out there. He made some great plays. They definitely got him involved in the offense. And it was great to see. Zay Flowers also showcased that nobody can stay in front of him. He was going up against those DBs, and man, he was cooking. He was cooking. He was taking on Forbes, and Forbes couldn't hang with them. He couldn't hang with them. I will say this, though. I like some of the things I saw from Forbes. He had a matchup against Odell, and though the ball was minorly underthrown by Lamar, it was still in a position where we know Odell being Odell. That's a catch right there. And if he makes that catch, he's mossing the guy. But Forbes did good enough to be able to cause an incompletion, and he hung in there. He made some nice plays. He hung in there. He was doing relatively well, but boy, was he getting cooked early on. When they were doing one-on-one matchups, he was matched up with Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers cooked him. Zay Flowers early on cooked him, got right past him, went down the field for a long touchdown, and Forbes, it wasn't a great look for him. Then on another play, Zay legit, he runs, he fakes the outside, cuts back immediately, and Forbes is just left shook, and Zay's open for another completion. I mean, Zay Flowers is showcasing that nobody can cover him. Nobody can cover him. But the best performance from him, or the best moment from him, unfortunately, was where it was an incompletion. So they were doing, I believe it was 7-on-7s. Actually, it might have been 11-on-11s. He was matched up with Forbes again, and he beat him again. Got separation. Going down the field. Would have been a touchdown if he could have caught it. He was very close there. Lamar put the ball where it needed to be. It was right in the hands of Zay Flowers, and unfortunately, Flowers couldn't make the catch. It is what it is. They're still working on it. It's a drop. It happens. But the ball was where it needed to be. It was pretty much perfect from Lamar. It hit the hands of Zay. And if Zay makes that catch, he's probably going in for 6. But he couldn't. So it is what it is there. Lamar also tried to connect with Mark Andrews down the field on another deep ball, and he just overthrew him. He missed him by like a couple. It was like 1 or 2 yards. It was barely out the reach of Mark Andrews' hands. That one was actually very interesting. And I've said this for a while now. Lamar has had so much chemistry with Mark Andrews and has so much trust. That's his go-to guy. The way Lamar kind of throws to Mark Andrews whenever he's going down the field, it kind of feels like he looks at Mark Andrews like a receiver instead of a tight end, because the way he be airing those deep balls out, it just comes out as if he's looking at a receiver like running that. Like if it's a receiver that was running that route, where Lamar puts the deep ball, he's making that catch. But Mark Andrews does not have receiver speed. Granted, he's pretty fast. Mark Andrews is a pretty fast tight end, but he doesn't have receiver speed, and sometimes it seems like Lamar just puts a bit too much juice on that, and you get situations where he just barely overthrows Andrews. But it's not like he didn't connect with Mark Andrews. Obviously, he connected with him over the middle. He connected with him on the short and the intermediate pass game, so they were still there. And, Mark Andrews made some great catches and made some nice plays. He also suplexed the guy. So, yeah, Mark Andrews was definitely engaged, but it was just that one miss on the deep ball. And then Lamar had another deep ball to Justice Hill, who, I don't know if it was a wheel route. It was maybe a wheel route with a rubber. I don't know what the route was because I didn't get a full look at it. The video we were watching wasn't the best in terms of showing the plays, but you kind of saw Justice Hill kind of break out to the left side and just take off, and he was open, and Lamar hit him perfectly in stride. Only thing is, Justice Hill couldn't keep his feet, kind of tripped up on himself and fell down. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the deep ball, Lamar was relatively sharp, but it wasn't completely accurate in terms of the minor underthrow to Odell, and then the overthrow with Mark Andrews. But other than that, it was still relatively fine. The offense looked smooth. They didn't turn the ball up. Well, actually, I believe Josh Johnson actually did throw a pick. But other than that, it was relatively smooth, and they were able to do what they want. We got to see Lamar at the line of scrimmage make plays, make adjustments, and actually call some audibles because we were seeing the receivers moving around. So that was actually a great thing to see. Lamar being able to call audibles is exactly what we want to see. So I'm glad that we're seeing them, implement that even more into this offense. So it's very great. We were watching Lamar. He was either working under center or he was working in the shotgun. They did not put him in the pistol. They had him either under center or in the shotgun, and he was making adjustments at the line of scrimmage. So that's exactly what I want to see. He was calling audibles, and they seemed to be working. They were getting the ball out quick. It was working. They were looking downfield, and guys were getting open. So the play calling was working, and they were able to connect on a couple of those. So I liked a lot of the things I saw from the offense, but they still have a lot of work to do because, there are some things there where it's just like, okay, you got to clean up this, you got to clean up that. Moving on to the Ravens defense, I like what I saw from them. When it came to the one-on-one matchups, they fared relatively well with the Commanders receivers. Now, of course, the biggest matchup of that was Terry McLaurin versus Marlon Humphrey, and it went about what I expected. Terry McLaurin showcasing his talent, showcasing his catching ability, and making the play despite the fact that Marlon Humphrey was playing tight coverage. Marlon Humphrey was right by Terry's side, and Terry still made the catch because he's one of the best receivers in the game, whether you believe it or not. So the Commanders receivers, they were able to make some plays, but the Ravens corners in their secondary, they were still right there with them. When it came to the one-on-one stuff, it was relatively even. However, when we got to the stuff regarding 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, it became, more lean. I'm not gonna say completely lean towards the side of the Ravens defense, but you did see a difference because there was one element that the Commanders could not really get going, and that was the deep ball. The Ravens secondary really didn't allow any big plays to happen. That's because they stood right in front of these receivers and didn't allow anything to happen. There was one big play that happened. It was a 15-yard pass downfield. That was it. That was it. It wasn't even a 15-yard pass. It was a 15-yard play. That was the only thing they got for the most part. Past that, everything was in the short and intermediate game. Now, me personally, I like that from the Commanders, specifically from Sam Howell. I don't want to see him force the ball down the field. Be smart. If they're covering things down the field, you see the safeties down there, the corners down there, the coverage is great. Don't need to force it to your receivers. Take what the defense gives you, check the ball down, quick throws, be effective, be efficient. That is what we saw from Sam Howell. It was a lot of short and underneath passes, 2-yard pass here, 5-yard pass here. That was really all that was getting completed for the most part. A big part of that has to deal with the Ravens pass rush, which consistently got to the quarterback. Sam Howell did not have much time to really throw. So even if he wanted to look downfield, his offensive line, which again, I still have problems with, they couldn't hold. They couldn't block. They could not stand tall. Odafe Owe was showcasing his talents today. He got to the quarterback 3 times. He was marked down for 3 sacks. They consistently put pressure on Sam Howell. I will say this though. The only time they were able to consistently put pressure on him was when they were actually blitzing. Other than that, there wasn't a lot of pressure on him, but the safeties and secondary were still doing their job well enough so that Sam Howell really couldn't get anything going downhill. He did try for a deep ball, but that was broken up. So the Ravens defense, for the most part, were able to contain the Commanders from getting anything going downfield. However, the Commanders were still able to be effective in the short passing game and was able to get 1 or 2 intermediate passes there too. So Sam Howell being smart, taking what the defense gives him, checking the ball down, and allowing the playmakers to just go out there and try to make a play. I'm fine with it at the end of the day. So we got to see some great moments from the defense. We got to see some great moments from the offense. I will say our defense did not get a pick on any of the Commanders' quarterbacks because I didn't hear anything about the turnover from our defense, but they were able to do well enough to make sure no big plays were happening down the field from Sam Howell or any of the others. From either Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett, nothing was really happening. Actually, I think Jacoby Brissett actually managed to get somewhat of a big play, but I can't remember who it was on. They did relatively well. The defense did relatively well. They didn't force any turnovers, but did a good job trying to contain them from having any big plays down the field. But I think Jacoby Brissett actually had a big play. I'm not, it's kind of blanking out of my mind right now. I don't remember when it was. Either way, the defense performed well. On the flip side, I liked what I saw from the Commanders. Yeah, the Ravens offense was able to get a lot of plays going, but we also had some nice stops by the secondary, which is something I hope to see. You know, Forbes was getting cooked early on by Odell and Zay Flowers, but he did have a pass breakup when he was going up one-on-one with Odell, so, you know, that was a good thing. And he was doing relatively well staying in there and trying to keep up with some of the targets he was seeing. Not to mention, defense was doing a relatively good job in terms of, you know, making some stops here occasionally. There was a pass that was going over the middle to Odell that got broken up. And the Commanders defense, they tried to hold their own. You know, it's not like they gave up any huge touchdowns or anything. They held their own. They did relatively well. But the Ravens offense just made a lot of good plays today. And I liked what I saw from them. I liked what I saw from the defense. Overall, I think it was a very effective practice. Obviously, they got chippy with it. There was a moment with Tylan Wallace. He got into it with one of the DBs for the Commanders and then proceeded to just straight up punch him. And then all of a sudden, everybody is going at it. You see Devin Duvernay come out of nowhere and try to sleep somebody. Justin Tucker put his helmet on and came right back in to help out. And I'm like, oh, we ready. We about that. There was another moment, like I said earlier, with Mark Andrews where he got up and he just suplexed somebody. It was after a play. I think he might have got stripped or something. And he just grabbed that defender and just suplexed him. And that caused another scuffle. Well, I think Morgan Moses also came in too. So there were multiple fights. There were multiple scuffles. But at the end of the day, you know, they were able to get it settled and everybody went their separate ways. All in all, it was a very feisty and intense first day of this joint practice. And I expect day 2 to be just as intense, if not even more intense after those fights. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. It should be an interesting one. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. It's been fun. With that being said, that is all I've got. And I'm out of here. Peace.